day. I am Saida and I am here to discuss to you the Philippine Revenue and Tax Administration. Philippines is responsible to serve and protect the Filipino nation. So, it should make schools, roads, hospitals, and establishment for public use. And also, it should maintain public order. But Philippines cannot sustain itself without funds. It can only operate if it has resources to cover its expenses. And unlike business that sells product or services to generate revenue, Philippines generate revenue by imposing taxes and other revenue generating contribution to the Filipinos.
Revenue refers to the amount imposed by the government for public use and purpose. In short, it refers to all income collections of the government, which includes tariff, licenses, toll, penalties, taxes, and others. Tax. It is an enforced proportional contribution levied by the state to raise revenue for public purpose. Philippine Revenue and Tax Administration. This is delegated to the administrative branch of the government, which is the Department of Finance and its two agencies, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or the BIR, and the Bureau of Custom, or the BOC. The Department of Finance. It is the principal fiscal and financial administrative arm of the Philippine government. As such, it is responsible for the judicious and effective management of the government's tax program and borrowings to achieve national development goals. The Bureau of Internal Revenue, or the BIR, and the Bureau of Customs, or the BOC, both of which are under the DOAF's administrative supervision, are the agencies directly concerned with the assessment and collection of national taxes, duties, fees, and other charges. Bureau of Internal Revenue, or BIR, collects more than half of the total revenues of the government. It administers the national tax system of the Philippines. Its powers and duties are reduction and collection of all internal revenue taxes, fees, and charges, enforcement of all forfeitures, penalties, and fines connected therewith, including the execution of judgments in all cases decided in its favor by the Court of Tax Appeals and the ordinary courts, and it shall also give effect to the administer supervisory and police powers conferred to it by the National Internal Revenue Code and special laws. Bureau of Customs, or BOC, is also under the supervision of the Department of Finance. Aside from BOC's regulatory functions, the BOC is tasked to do the following: account for all customs revenues collected, collect customs duties, taxes, and the corresponding fees, charges, and penalties. And the last one is to exercise police authority for the enforcement of tariff and customs laws. Philippine Revenue and Administration issues and problems. First, the tax reform for acceleration and inclusion, or the TRAIN law. Second, the corruption in revenue administrating agencies. The third one is the tax evasion or tax dodging. TRAIN law. RA 10963, otherwise known as Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion, was signed by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. This was designed to fund the major expansion in public infrastructures in the country, known as Build program. The first package took effect on January 1, 2018, and the second package will take effect in 2023. But this law made a buzz when it was first proposed by the administration. It is basically because this law lowered personal income tax rates but increased taxes on certain goods, leading to a net increase in revenue. Those who are against branded it as anti-poor policy. Reasons are but not limited to the following. The personal income tax was reduced. This has no effect to minimum wage earners and the other entry-level employees, collectively known as poor, as they are already exempted in the old law. But this favors the rich since they get to be taxed low. Taxes on certain basic goods increase. This greatly affects the poor as they cannot take additional burden of tax given that the inflation rate increases. They don't benefit from lowered personal income tax, but they get to share the burden on increased taxes on basic goods. Lower state and donors tax. These do not benefit the poor much as they don't have that expensive properties to donate with, but those which benefits from this. Corruption in revenue administrating agencies. The two primary revenue administrating agencies are often branded as the most corrupt agencies in the Philippines. The BOC employees are believed by the public to receive bribes from importers to lower their tariffs. Moreover, BIR tax examiners are believed to receive bribes and kickbacks from big businesses to lower their taxes, especially corporate tax. Reason for this is lack of confidence from people since a lot of news regarding corruption circulates media. Also, it became common knowledge that these two agencies are hub for corrupt workers since they have the capability and ability to manipulate revenue collections. Examples are as follows. 3 BIR personal corruption, 2 BIR officers corruption, BOC corruption, and 2-year BOC corruption. The first one, 3 BIR personnel arrested by NBI and PACC. The NBI and PACC arrested the 3 BIR Regional Investigation Division personnel Arturo Buñol, Gary Atanasio, and Edgardo Javier in a joint entrapment after the three demanded 600,000 from a restaurant owner after claiming that the restaurant owes 1.2 million in taxes. Second, the 2 BI officers nabbed for demanding 160 million. Chief Assessment Officer Alfredo Pagbilao and Revenue Officer Agripina Valistero of BIR Pasig City were arrested in a joint entrapment operation by the NBI and PACC for extorting 160 million from a telecom company to settle its tax deficiencies. The negotiation was to settle the 1.6 billion to 75 million only. Third, the corruption of the BOC. After President Duterte relieved 64 BOC employees in July 2019 due to the corruption in the agency, the PACC goes after the agency officials who are allegedly collaborating with several big steel manufacturers for improper import declarations. These technical smuggling activities, according to PACC, has been going on for over 10 years. According to officials, at least 200 billion is lost every year due to unabated smuggling. The last, government lost 234 billion to BOC corruption in 2 years. Deputy Speaker Rodante Marcoleta pushed a legislative inquiry on October 26, 2019 with the assistance of NBI and BIR to conduct investigation and audit, respectively, on 283 importers, 166 custom brokers, 272 examiners, and 145 appraisers that supposedly benefited from the scheme. He revealed that he personally examined the BOC records and reports, and the agency lost to an estimated 234 billion collections in 2016 and 2017. Tax evasion or tax dodging. It is the illegal means of reducing or not paying the tax due to the government. For the past years, the BIR kept on fighting tax evasion cases against several companies and big names in entertainment and business. Even rumor about Chris Aquino, celebrity and sister of former President Aquino meddling tax payments, escalated. These are the sections of the tax code. First, the section 255 of the tax code. For failure of any person, the punishment is to be fined of not less than 10,000 pesos and suffer imprisonment of not less than 1 year but not more than 10 years. Section 256 of the tax code. In the case of corporations, the penal liabilities of any corporation, association, or general co-partnership liable for any of the acts or omissions penalized under the tax code, in addition to the penalties imposed upon the responsible corporate officers, partners, or employees, shall, upon conviction for each act or omission, be punished by a fine of not less than 50,000 pesos but not more than 100,000 pesos. Section 272 of the tax code. In case of public officers, the penalties imposed on every officer or employee of the government of the Republic of the Philippines or any of its agencies and instrumentalities, its political subdivisions, as well as government-owned or controlled corporations, including the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, upon conviction for each act or omission, be punished by a fine of not less than 5,000 pesos but not more than 50,000 pesos, or suffer imprisonment of not less than 6 months and 1 day but not more than 2 years or both. Section 275 of the tax code provides that any person who violates any provision of the code or any rule or regulations promulgated by the Department of Finance, for which no specific penalties provided by the law, shall, upon conviction for each act or omission, be punished by a fine of not more than 1,000 pesos or suffer imprisonment of not more than 6 months or both. Tax evasion cases filed with the BIR for the past years are but not limited to the following. 24 tax cases filed versus 3 individuals and 18 companies. Case shows that the 3 individuals have a total tax liability of 106 million and the 18 companies have a total tax liability of 1,064,525,000, resulting to a total liability of 1,170,525,000. Here are the names of the 3 individuals. Marivic Carlos with a total tax liability of 12 million in the year 2009. Philip Santiago with a total tax liability of 75 million in 2012. Rene Santos with a total tax liability of 19 million in 2012. If found guilty, the 3 individuals will be punished for violating Section 255 of Tax Code. They will be imprisoned for 10 years and be fined for not more than 10,000 aside from paying their tax liability. The 18 companies are Amigo Strategy, marketing, energetic, Philippe Nouvel, and etc. If found guilty, these 18 companies will be punished for violating Section 256 of Tax Code and be forced to pay a fine ranging 50,000 to 100,000 aside from paying their tax liability. The tax evasion cases versus seven firms has a total of 825 million tax liability, and the seven firms are the Merity Foods with 698 million, Body Needs and Basic Corporation 40 million, the Demicor Trading 34 million, and the other four, the Fourth Wave Global, Ferrotic Fire Protection, Christimar Corporation, and the Asiatic Construction and Industrial Corporation.
I am hoping that you understand or you get a knowledge in my discussion on how revenue and tax administration is a very crucial government job. See you soon!